limelight, and Geschke and Irizar also in the top 5 at the moment. Ethics Quick Step represented out on course by Nicky Terpstra, one of the favourites for honours, I think, this afternoon. He's in absolutely flying form. He's a big, strong guy. He's absolutely perfect for this course, you would have thought. He's on good form. Maybe a slightly longer time trial might suit him, but you can be sure that Nicky Terpstra is going to be thereabouts at the end of today, if he's getting the power out that he's been generating of late.
Well, certainly rode well in the classics. Well, the opening weekend was second in Het Nieuwsblad to in Stannard. Not much the three ethics riders on that they could do about the powerhouse that's in Stannard, and he's here in this field too.
Well, that's the one result that's the one result that Nicky Terpstra probably didn't want you to mention, I think.
He did look, let's be honest, there's a couple of quite interesting pictures of him walking onto the podium looking rather sheepish, but fair play. They got it wrong on the day tactically, but hats off to Ian Stannard on that weekend. But
it had to be a savage ride from Ian Stannard to come up with a victory that day.
He was under pressure. His back was against the wall, but what he had on his side was the fact that he was fresh, and the fact, I think, that Edix in the final 5k of that race just panicked and just, in retrospect, they didn't play the right hand. But we can all look back with 20/20 vision and criticise, but the riders at that time made the decision on the road, and that's what you have to go with. You can always deconstruct things and learn. That's why even professionals at this level are constantly learning the racecraft. It's not just about power and aerodynamics, it's about the subtle nuances of racecraft. And to be fair to Ian Stannard, he rode extremely strongly on the day and got the tactics down to a T.
So Nicky Terpstra out on course. What can he come up with? He's chasing Daniel Oss, 6 minutes and 8 seconds. We'll be back to see how he gets on after these.
First class cycling with Alpecin caffeine shampoo.
After the World Championships, the battle's back on for the Crystal Globes. And it's wide open with everything to play for as they come to the crunch in Scandinavia. Tomorrow at 6 p.m, the Ski Jumping World Cup, live from Trondheim on British Eurosport.
They challenge us. They take us to worlds full of heroes and titans. For Respawn, building the best interactive entertainment begins with the cloud. This is Titanfall. The first multiplayer game built and run on Microsoft Azure, empowering gamers around the world to interact in ways they never thought possible. This cloud turns data into excitement. This is the Microsoft Cloud.
We needed to sell our home quickly.
We tried estate agents, but it wouldn't shift.
So we spoke to We Buy Any Home.
Within 24 hours, they made us a cash offer.
It was less than market value, but the cash was guaranteed.
And it was in our account in just 7 days.
No fees.
No chains.
No hassle.
They even covered all the legal costs.
Sell your home fast. Call We Buy Any Home and get a cash offer within 24 hours.
This is four-wheel drive ability fused with urban agility. This is adventure advanced. This is the Mitsubishi ASX.
Mitsubishi Intelligent Motion.
When our mate couldn't get a loan from the bank, I told him I'd be his guarantor, so he could get a loan from Glow. Didn't I, son?
Yeah, so I could get a car for my new job.
And I could feel good for helping him out.
That was a bright idea.
Of mine.
Huh?
To get a loan of up to £7,000 over 1 to 5 years, go to glow.co.uk. The guarantor loan option. Representative 49.5% APR.
First class cycling with Alpecin caffeine shampoo.
Prologue of Tirreno-Adriatico. Nicky Terpstra is chasing the time of Daniel Oss. 6 minutes and 8 seconds. I'm not sure he's going to get there. It's going to be a good effort from Nicky Terpstra, who already has time trial success this year from the Tour of Qatar. Took the victory from Fabian Cancellara on that occasion. Bradley Wiggins also behind him. So Terpstra knows how to do a time trial. He's not quite going to get there, but he is inside the top three. So Terpstra it is 4 seconds in arrears as he unseats Andrei Grivko from third position and slots in just fractions of a second behind Edvald Boasson-Hagen, and critically 4 seconds behind Daniel Oss. It's a superb effort from Nicky Terpstra, underlining the sort of form we've seen from him of late, but not quite enough to get to Daniel Oss, whose time is increasingly looking like it could well be a winning one.
Yeah, that just shows the calibre of the ride by Daniel Oss, the Italian on the BMC team. Fantastic time. Nicky Terpstra already, as you say, a winner of a TT this year, clearly in good form, as we see Sven Tuft from Orica Greenedge, the Canadian TT champion there in the Maple Leaf kit. Very, very noted, very, very good time trialist too.
One of the big engines from the Orica Greenedge squad that had come here hoping to do a great time in the team time trial that was planned originally. That was postponed because of weather. It was cancelled, and it was replaced with a solo individual effort. So Sven Tuft gets to put on his Canadian National Time Trial Champions jersey, but on this occasion ends up 13 seconds back and just inside the top 40. So not really what he'd hoped for from Sven Tuft. Still a good, strong effort. Clearly underlines that the Canadian veteran is on strong form. Peter Sagan now out on course. Stage winner in this race last year, Matt, and well, it will be interesting to see what sort of form he's brought into the air.
Yeah, under a lot of pressure to perform, being paid a very, very large salary on the Tinkoff Saxo team. I think he'll be fine on the team, but it'd be nice for him to get another win under his belt. As you see, Castroviejo now coming through. Very, very strong time from the Spaniard on the Movistar team.
It's a massive time from Castroviejo. He's just going to be outside Daniel Oss, but he's sprinting to the line, and he goes... Is it second? Yes, he just about manages to edge out Edvald Boasson-Hagen by the narrowest of margins. So, well, look what great time trial form the Movistar squad have at the moment. They just seem to be lining them up, and that is good news for Nairo Quintana, as Castroviejo catches us by surprise a little bit as he edges out Edvald Boasson-Hagen into third. Nicky Terpstra now outside the top three.
Just shows how strong that Movistar at the time trial. Imagine if all that combined might for the team time trial would have definitely put teams like Tinkoff Saxo on the back foot. So, but this is all about the individual effort here. And Peter Sagan again, not a noted time trialist, turning quite a low gear there. Some lovely souplesse, interesting bump on his top of his jersey. I think that might be the radio, but. Not the most flattest of backs, but a very distinctive style on the bike, Peter Sagan. Very, very pigeon-toed, both his toes pointing inwards. It doesn't look like, when I see riders with the toes facing inwards, it doesn't look like the power can be transferred in the right sort of way, but he is still remarkably powerful, but still wanting to get that first win for him this season. As we see Jesse Sargent here coming down and finishing straight too, the New Zealander.
So Trek Factory Racing will have ambitions a bit later on when we see Fabian Cancellara coming at the back end of the order. This is a good time though. Jesse Sargent well inside, he's hitting the barriers, and he's still got 47 seconds to get through this final 500 metres. Going to be a bit of an ask for him, but I think it could be done. It's definitely going to be a big time coming up from the New Zealander Jesse Sargent. Let's count him down all the way to the line. He's pushing as hard as he possibly knows how. They're screaming at him from the team car, you can be sure of it. That's his radio, as Matt has pointed out, just inside his skin suit on his back, and Sargent leaning down, looking down at the stem and dragging every ounce of energy out. He's not going to get the victory on this occasion. He's not going to get second, third or fourth, but it is a great effort from Jesse Sargent, just inside the top 10, 7 seconds back, and the Trek Factory Racing rider coming up with a good result.
An absolutely cracking ride there from Sargent. Look at the effort on his face. Very, very good style going down the finish straight, but fresh off the back of second place in the prologue of the 3 days of West Flanders, so clearly in very, very good form, and finished that race in third place overall, as we see Peter Sagan negotiating the dog leg turn on this course to head back down the very long finishing straight.
Let's get a little replay. Oh, and he managed to... Well, what incredible bike handling from Peter Sagan.
Didn't expect that slow-mo then.
Anyone else in the world would have been on the floor, but he just dabs a foot, takes a point, and look at the... well, is that a cat or a dog running across the road? It's absolutely frightening to see that. You can be sure Peter Sagan is no lack of adrenaline in his body right now, because he has had a couple of little frights. Maybe that was a black cat, and it will give him the luck that he needs this week to come up with stage winner too. Peter Sagan racing to the line, and absolutely thrilled that he hasn't scraped that lovely new Tinkoff Saxo skin suit that he's got this year.
That was an incredible bit of bike handling. Most other riders, I think, that was... Did you see how he just, instinctively unclipped his foot on the inside?
How did he get his foot out so quickly?
And managed to hold himself up and didn't lay it down, but an absolutely fantastic bit of set of skills there from one of the best bike handlers in the pro peloton.
Well, maybe that's the best way to get around that corner, is to go blazing in way quicker than you could.
That was our mountain biker's corner, wasn't it? So
I think that's the new way, the Sagan way. We'll see, does he come up with a time after that little bit of excitement for him. Damien Godin of the similarly beleaguered AG Tour Le Mondial squad is working his way towards the finish line. He's inside the last few hundred metres, but he's not going to trouble Daniel Oss on this occasion. Still, though, it is a very, very good effort indeed. Another surprise effort. 5th fastest for Damien Godin of AG Tour Le Mondial. 5 seconds back. And that's some good news for that squad. We've gone into this week with Carlos Betancourt, the reigning champion of Paris-Nice, among their lineup. Bit of a surprise that he's come to Italy. Bit of a surprise that Damien Godin goes to 5th on the timesheets. Good effort from him.
A great effort from him there as we go back to Peter Sagan in the finishing straight. 500 metres to go.
Wow, this is a good time for sure. This is, well, I'm not sure it's going to be good enough for the win, but it's a good time considering he's had a foot on the floor.
I think that probably up the amount of adrenaline that's been pumping through his veins, to be perfectly honest. It might have actually helped him, in addition to the black cat that crossed his path, Declan. But a great ride here by Peter Sagan.
Well, he's out of the saddle and he's gunning it for the line. Peter Sagan giving it absolutely everything, rolling the shoulders. There's no form left in this. It's all about instinct as he goes for the line and comes up with 2nd fastest time. Peter Sagan just 2 seconds behind Daniel Oss, who's getting increasingly nervous in that hot seat. But what about that from Peter Sagan? They have been questioning his form, but clearly... well, you don't think of Peter Sagan as a time trialist, and now we get a little replay. Is it a cat? Is it a dog? It's definitely black.
It looks rather feline-like to me, Declan.
Yeah.
But maybe...
I don't know. A bit of luck he needed.
Is that good luck or bad luck? I'm not too sure whether it is. But anyway, he finished up right, and a great ride there. 2nd place for Peter Sagan. Only 2 seconds behind Daniel Oss. But I wonder how much actually lost on that left-hander. Probably only a second or so. He didn't need to shave off too much speed. Don't think he had much of a chance to do that, actually.
You can be sure there will be deep analysis of how much time was lost in that hairpin for the remainder of the day. He's not going to come up with the stage honours, but it's a great effort from Peter Sagan. Now, off the start ramp is the former world hour record holder, Matthias Brendle, as we see the man from EM Cycling, current Austrian national time trial champion, making his way and heading into this 5.4 kilometre prologue effort. Daniel Oss, 6 minutes and 8 seconds, still the time that they're chasing. We'll see how they and Dean Stannard get on after these.
Tribal Wars 2. Celebrate your growing cities and expand your empire. Ally yourself with other players to form mighty tribes. Protect your people against your enemies and turn the tides of war. Now for browser and all Android devices. Play free at tw2.tv.
So, that hostel you found on Booking.com turns the last night of your trip into the first day of the rest of your life. In that perfectly selected romantic chateau, words escape you. Luckily, she doesn't. 9 months later. Responsibilities. 2 of them. You take them to an eco-lodge to become one with nature. And they do. But there's a story inside you. So you check into this log cabin where inspiration strikes. Each booking success propels you to even greater heights. Launching your masterpiece at a Tokyo 5-star hotel. Reconnecting at a tropical paradise that shouldn't exist, but does. Soaring above this castle resort with your father-in-law, who finally seems to like you. Life can be like that when you get it booking right. Booking.com. Booking.yeah.
Flingers keep on flinging. Savers keep on saving. Stylers keep on styling. Chatters keep on chatting. Dads keep on dadding. Winners keep on winning. Don't change your life. Change your bank. With a 123 current account, you get 3% interest on balances between £3,000 and £20,000. And up to 3% cash back on household bills like your electricity, mobile and broadband. Simple, personal, fair. It's what a bank should be.
If your boiler's on its last legs, we can replace it with a nice new energy-efficient one. Right now, we'll pay the VAT on your boiler too, giving you 20% off the cost. So, for a great deal on a great new boiler, just call us on 0800 980 8182.
Look closely. Do you see the road or the opportunity? The Jeep Freedom event. Get unmissable offers on the Jeep Cherokee and Grand Cherokee before the 31st of March.
First class cycling with Alpecin caffeine shampoo.
Ian Stannard completes the prologue of Tirreno-Adriatico 2015. 50th fastest, 16 seconds in arrears from the current benchmark time recorded by Daniel Oss of BMC. Ian Stannard's got that little bit of work out of the way. He'll have other fish to fry as the week progresses. The man who won Het Nieuwsblad in fine form at the moment, and he'll have other duties to perform for the Team Sky lineup this week, but he's got that one done. Fair play to him. Now we're looking at Matthias Brendle of the EM cycling squad, Austrian rider with the distinctive Austrian national time trial champions jersey on his back, and a man who was catapulted to superstardom as a result of his successful taking of the hour record from the people's hero Jens Vogt during the winter. He didn't last for too long, but he had his little moment in the limelight, and it was a superb effort because others have failed since, so it just shows. Hashtag Home of Cycling if you want to get in touch with us on Twitter. It's at Real Stevens for the man alongside, at DQ Sport for myself. We'll try and keep an eye on Twitter today and through the week, and we'll respond to as many of your queries as possible. Tyler Farrer is out there for MTN Quebec. He's seen what his teammate Edvald Boasson Hagen can do. The MTN Quebec squad have made some very interesting signings this year. They've brought in several riders from outside Africa to try and bolster their lineup, and several of those riders looking for some redemption, looking for an opportunity to show what they're capable of. Farrer, I think, perhaps might have a future as a lead-out man, and he'll have opportunities himself, of course, during the year. Sprinter by trade. Will this suit him? Matthias Brendle, you would have thought, will definitely be up for this one in a big way. And he's inside a kilometre to go. Well, he's with about a minute to go, so it's going to be a big ask for him to unseat Daniel Oss. But I do think that he has an excellent chance of making it to the top 5. So let's keep an eye on Matthias Brendle as he extracts every ounce of effort that he possibly can from his bike. Dragging his way to the line, he's inside the barriers, tongue flapping. It's a world of hurt out there for Brendle, but he wouldn't have it any other way. This is where he has the opportunity to shine. He will have psyched himself up for the last, several weeks, if not months. Looking forward to this effort. I'd say when he heard it was an individual time trial, he was absolutely thrilled because it's his opportunity to shine. And Matthias Brendle, just 7 seconds. It's not going to happen for him in terms of taking the stage, or is it? Unbelievable. We just got the finish line sight in time to see that Matthias Brendle has indeed taken the lead of this prologue stage of Tirreno-Adriatico. Finally, Daniel Oss is unseated, and it's Matthias Braindle, former world hour record holder, that goes to the top of the timesheets. 53.114 kilometres per hour, and you can tell what that's taken out of him. He can barely hold the bike upright as he waits for a little bit of assistance. And there is the revised provisional standings. Braindle at the top now. Daniel Oss slips to second. Peter Sagan to third. Castroviejo, what a great effort from him, the Movistar rider. And Edvald Boasson-Hagen now sitting in fifth. As we get a replay, Matt, what about that?
Fantastic display of power. A rider completely attuned and at one. You know, riding the time trial is, as well as being all about power and ability, it's about a mental state, and this guy can ride so well. Look at the concentration. Also, look how narrow frontally he is. Been training all winter. Obviously had the hour record to his name, held to before Rowan Dennis beat it, but he won a road stage of the Tour of Oman as well, so very, very good form. In sixth place in another time trial a week ago or so, definitely a rider to watch in the future. But
what do you think the world hour record has done for him? Do you think that might have been the boost that he needed, that he was able to respond so well under that pressure?
Yeah, I mean, he won back-to-back stages, don't forget, in the Tour of Britain last year from two very, very tough breakaways and some difficult undulating terrain. So he's not a one-trick pony. He's not just a time trialist. He's a very, very good all-rounder. But no, if you go in and beat someone like Jens Voigt in the hour record, that's going to boost your morale. The team are going to be happy, the sponsors are going to be happy, and it's a very, very, very big deal. And I think we've got a lot more to see of this young man who currently sits atop the leaderboard. I think that time by Daniel Oss, I thought that was going to be extremely difficult to beat. He shaved 2 seconds off it, so a great time. And I think that time by Braindle, looking at some of the quality of riders who have already finished, although there are the cream of the crop still to finish, that's going to be, I think, that's going to be a top 3 time.
We've still got some big riders to come. This is a rider with a big name, Michele Scarponi, winner of Tirreno-Adriatico back in 2009. He's not going to take stage honours on this occasion, but he'll be a good helper for Vincenzo Nibali through the week. 20 seconds back at the moment, that won't trouble him. And now Matthias Braindle, the benchmark effort for Jens Morris of Orica Green Edge. Dutch rider's got a big engine, along with pretty much all of that team, actually.
Yeah, great team time trial team. Just the countdown now before his rolls off the ramp. This can be quite a nervous couple of moments for riders. It's not unbeknown for riders to topple off or even have their chain snap on the start ramp. You could just see Morris then just indicating to the timekeeper, or sorry, the rider, that the individual holding him up, just to keep him central. Just that little dab of the hand there, just to get them central. So you don't want to be on the start ramp and leaning to one side or the other, because that can
launch you off at the wrong angle. Yeah.
It does happen. It's not much fun.
So that's the scene as we survey Lido de Camaiore, the venue for the start of Tirreno-Adriatico. And it is one of the major tourist locations. 31,500 people live in this beautiful town. This race slashes from the Mediterranean down towards the Adriatic coast, across a full week of racing, chopping across the mountains and making its way to the other coastline come next Tuesday, when we'll find out who has won Tirreno-Adriatico for 2015. Right now it's all about prologue effort. Bartosz Husarski is not going to take the stage honours on this occasion, but it's going to be, well, reasonable effort to say he's going to be well down the order. He's still got quite a bit to go, and Husarski, it's a busy style, testing his form. A lot of riders, of course, will be using this prologue. It'll be their first opportunity to really get a sense of where they are in relation to other riders. Not everyone, of course, is starting their season today, but not too many of them will have done a time trial.
Yeah, not been that many time trials so far this year, and they're so difficult. I mean, they're certainly not for everybody. As we see Mauri here, the winner last year of the final stage of Tirreno-Adriatico.
A lot of people's favourite for honours today, and indeed your pick before we came on air, Matt, you were saying that it's really going to be interesting to see how that's, I can assure you, not Jens Morris. It's Mallory of the Movistar squad, who's seen what his teammate Castroviejo can do And no doubt a little bit of information about how the wind is affecting the riders will have been relayed to Mallory, and will be interesting and useful data that he'll be able to log in there and add to his data bank of knowledge, and perhaps help him to stage honours today. He's definitely getting on top of a really, really big gear indeed. And Mallory, one of the big favourites today. Can he come up with honours?
I think he's a big favourite in more than one. He's one of the favourites, but he's just a big mass of a man, extremely powerful.
He's got the world's longest overshoes as well.
He certainly has. Apparently they're more aerodynamic that way. The more skin you can cover, that's why you see a lot of riders now, even in the summer, using, obviously he's got the skin suit on there with the long arms. But if you can have arms, or you generally have a long sleeve skin suit or a short sleeve, but now they have in between as well. But basically, increasingly over the last couple of years, you've seen less and less skin being shown. So even, Santini make the skin suits for Orica Green Edge, and the shorts are very long, almost to the point of they're touching the top of the knee. And then when you've got coupled with long overshoes, there's only about, a foot of tan space. So if you're looking for a suntan with the new Pro kit these days,
why don't they just go the whole hog and then run with tights the whole year long? They could be
Watch this space. Watch
1950s
this space.
British time trialists.
Watch this space.
Yeah. Do you think the UCI should get on this? I think this is an important thing to be addressed.
There are. I know in the hour record, for example, they're not allowed now to use overshoes because of the advantage. So you see the riders. We saw the attempt of Decker the other week, a previous winner of this race actually. Come very, very close, within 270 metres of Rowan Dennis. But not with overshoes. It's interesting that the UCI allow overshoes in a prologue time trial, but they won't allow the use of overshoes in the hour record. But there we go.
We're not getting any intermediate times, no splits along the way, but it is such a short effort that they're coming thick and fast up the finishing straight. So I don't think it's all that necessary, and we're missing out in a big way as we keep an eye out. And who is it but Mark Cavendish? What will he be able to come up with this afternoon? I don't think Mark Cavendish will be. It'll be interesting to see. I think if he really wanted it, Mark Cavendish could come up with a really good effort today. It'll be interesting to see whether he absolutely wants it, or whether he's maybe thinking more about the couple of sprint opportunities that he has later in the weeks.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely want to test himself, but we know him and his wingman, his lead-out man, Mark Renshaw, had a short trip over to South Africa and ended up with a similar stomach bug. So I don't think he's going to be... Perhaps it might take Mark Cavendish a couple of days to bed in, but as you say, he can. Mark Cavendish has previously won the Prologue and the Tour of Romandy and the Tour of Britain in the past, but generally over like a 2 or 3 kilometre distance. But looking at his face there, he's certainly not holding back, and he's actually posted a very respectable time by the looks of it.
Very respectable indeed for Mark Cavendish as he comes into the final metres of this time trial and records a time just 10 seconds back from that wonderful effort. And now Mark Cavendish is in the top 20, so clearly no ill effects from that little bug that he picked up in South Africa. He's going down to ride a Sportive at the behest of his sponsor, Cape Challenge, and unfortunately, as Matt has said, just picked up a little bit of a bug. He's not the only rider, of course, this time of year. Plenty of riders moving from areas of warmth to colder racing conditions, or vice versa, and it can often be those temperature changes can put the system under a lot of stress. Jens Morris is also chasing that time of Matthias Brendle, 6 minutes and 6 seconds. Not going to work out for him on this occasion, but still a good effort from Jens Morris.
He's certainly very efficiently putting the power through that bike at the moment. Just a very subtle nod of the head as he tries to get the last few little bits of energy from his legs. So respectable time, but that was a great time from Mark Cavendish. You could just see the way he put a lot into that ride, perhaps to try and see where he was. But Mark can ride extremely fast over a short distance.
It's been a hell of a start to the season for him.
He's won the most races. 6 races he's won this year. I think the next best is Christoph with 5 wins. So. And here's the man that we think is going to do it. What will the time be of Adriano Mallory, the Italian TT champion?
I'm just going to talk a little bit more about Mark Cavendish, but I think we need to divert our attention to the performance of Adriano Malori, winner of the final time trial stage of Tirreno-Adriatico 12 months ago. He'll be looking to try and defend his position in that at the end of this week. In the meantime, can he manage to unseat Matthias Brendle? He's out of the saddle, gets the cheers of the locals as he goes to the line, and he manages it by 2 seconds. Adriano Malori goes to the top of the timesheet. Who's going to be able to beat that? Fabian Cancellara will be quaking in his boots as he sees the times coming in from, well, it's not too far away, I can tell you, the start line from the finish line. Adriano Malori racing with Movistar, the local rider, well, comes up with a superb effort and now goes to the top of the timesheets by 2 seconds from Matthias Brendle. Still lots of riders with ambitions to unseat Malori, and we'll see them after these.
Renault Clio. Restart your heart. This Renault romance season, be seduced by Clio. From £149 per month with 4 years 0% APR representative until March 31st. Ooh la la.
If your boiler's on its last legs, we can replace it with a nice new energy efficient one. Right now, we'll pay the VAT on your boiler too, giving you 20% off the cost. So, for a great deal on a great new boiler, just call us on 0800 980 8182.
Preparation is everything. Years of training, patience, trust. But hearts still pound, muscles still tighten. The wait is over. Hold your focus. Keep your nerve. Seize your moment. Money back as a free bet if Saida Gruji wins the Betway Champion Chase. Get closer to horse racing at betway.com.
At GoDaddy, we want to help make this year your year, the year you get your business or dream online.
We're here to help with free 24/7 customer support.
Maybe your idea needs a .com domain.
At GoDaddy, we have the right tools
to let you build the perfect website.
Our website builder plans are easy
and affordable.
Visit godaddy.co.uk or call us and we'll get you online.
I'm here to help.
Visit GoDaddy or call now and get website builder, email and a .com domain for only £1 per month.
Okay, what are you going to do?
I'm going to pick...
Whoa, you deleted everything?
Yeah, no.
What's that?
It's a bat.
So you just deleted the whole crab?
Yeah. Let's make him grow a bit bigger.
It can't be called Catchy Crab anymore, can it?
Oh,
it's a bat.
Catchy Bat.
Catchy Bat.
Help your child learn code with the Barclays Digital Eagle. barclayscodeplayground.co.uk.
First class cycling with Alpecin caffeine shampoo.
It's the prologue of Tirreno-Adriatico as Luca Mezgec makes his way to the finish line. The giant Alpecin rider will be thinking more about the sprints later in the week. As it is, he's managed to get that one out of the way, and he's just under half a minute down on the best time to date, recorded by Matthias Brendle of EM Cycling. This is the man who's third in the standings at the moment, for so long in the hot seat. Daniel Oss, 6 minutes and 8 seconds at one stage. We really were starting to doubt whether anyone was going to be able to beat that time, but this man did. Former world hour record holder and a man who really is making a big name for himself in world road racing over the last couple of seasons. Matthias Brendle, great opportunity now, and Adriano Malori manages to get ahead of him by 2 seconds, and Malori it is who is at the top of the timesheets from Brendle and Daniel Oss, as we wait for the big GC guys and one or two of the top time trial contenders still to make their appearance out on course. I can tell you Alberto Contador will be the final rider off. He's due off at 16:04 local time. It's 15:04 if you're in the GMT world. Bodnar of Alberto Contador's Tinkoff Saxo squad He's inside the finishing straight, inside the final kilometre. Gritting his teeth, grinding the enamel off them. He's not thinking too much about that at the moment. Less than 15 seconds now, less than 10 seconds indeed, to try and get to Mallory's best time. What can he come up with? Maciej Bodnar stops the clocks, and what about that? Unbelievable effort, and real surprise there from Maciej Bodnar as he comes up with the time. Just 2 seconds in arrears, almost equals the time of Matthias Brendle. Indeed, he just manages to better it by a few fractions of a second, and goes to second on the timesheets behind Adriano Mallory. So the times are coming in thick and fast now. Mallory from Bodnar, Brendle, and Daniel Oss now slips to third. So we look at MTN Quebec's
Steve Cummings.
Yeah, and here's a man who could do a real time, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, a former team pursuiter, so he's born on the track, as it were. Very, very quick rider indeed when he wants to. He's already had a win on the road this year, one of the hillier stages, put away Alejandro Valverde in one of the mountaintop finish at the Trophy Mallorca. So the first win of the year, I think the only win of the year actually for NTN Quebec so far. So difficult to predict sometimes how Steve Cummings goes. I mean, won a very, very tough edition last year of the Tour of the Mediterranean when he was riding for BMC. And was also up there, I think second or third on general classification last year in the Tour of Dubai. Won by his teammate, yeah. But on his day can perform very well in a TT, and just a great all-rounder, Steve Cummings. So I think we should be a good addition to the roster for MTN this year.
Yeah, great opportunity for him. A little bit more freedom, I think, this year with MTN Quebec. So great opportunity to see what he can do for himself on occasion, and already has produced the goods. Will he be able to come up with something this afternoon? We'll get an idea within the next 4 or 5 minutes as we see Johan Le Bon grinding his way towards the finish line. Not so much grinding, it's decent cadence being produced by the Frenchman from Française de Jeu. Tongue out all over the bike.
In and out the saddle into this headwind, just trying to squeeze those last bits out. Look at the face. Oh, great time here by Le Bon.
Excellent time from Johan Le Bon as he completes his 5.4 kilometres. 7th fastest, 8 seconds back from Adriano Mallory, and that is a superb effort indeed. I wonder if the conditions haven't changed a little bit, because we have had a lot of wind out there on the course, particularly in that finishing straight. It's been quite noticeable, really, that the riders haven't been able to get the gear that they might have expected into that headwind.
Yeah, as we see here, the man himself, the big Italian here on the podium.
Listen to that.
Taking the cheers.
Listen to the crowd. And whatever the chat about Astana at the moment, Vincenzo Nibali has erased all of that controversy from his mind at the moment, and he's concentrating 100% on this prologue effort. Former winner of this race, of course. Indeed, twice a winner, 2012 and 2013. Vincenzo Nibali would have been expecting a team time trial. How has the fact that he's got to do a solo time trial effort at the start of the week and indeed at the end of the week, well, how will that have affected his preparations, his planning, and how will that have changed his expectations? He's capable of a good time trial on his day. Surely he'll be in and around the other general classification contenders. How close will he get to Mallory's time trial effort, though? Well, we'll find out within the next 6 minutes. Vincenzo Nibali immediately into the tuck, and the Shark of Messina is already grinding out the power.
He's looking pretty fluid there. He can time trial very, very well indeed, but this is such a short effort. He's certainly not a specialist of this prologue effort, but again, it is full gas. He's got to try and limit his losses, or even try and make some gains on the likes of Nairo Quintana, Rigoberto Urán and Alberto Contador. But I think out of our 4 favourites, if you take Urán, Contador and Nibali, I think Contador arguably on paper has the edge over this distance. But when we look last year to see Sepp van Mark, the classic specialist for Lotto Jumbo, had a great early part of the campaign. Bad luck, I think, ruined his chances in Het Nieuwsblad. Was arguably the most powerful rider in the breakaway. As we head back to Vincenzo Nibali, I think on paper Contador should be the fastest. As we take a great look at the close-up there of the block, it looks like Nibali there is probably riding about 55, 11 or 12. Obviously got a raging tailwind at the moment.
He's right down the bottom of the block,
the biggest gear he's got. Well, that would change on the running when they hit that headwind section. So riders looking like they're riding at about 54, 14 or 15.
Beautiful style of Sepp van Martin. Really looks like
that's fluid, isn't
motion,
it?
Doesn't he?
That's fluid.
Sits so well on the bike. He's got that characteristic wrists down.
That's hard. When I used to ride on a low profile, I used to have my wrists up a little bit like Nibley. Not anywhere near as stylish as Nibley, of course, but having your wrist pointing downwards is quite a lot of stress on the forearm. So quite interesting. It's almost like a left-handed position, because not many riders adopt that hands down. They generally have their wrists tilted up a little bit.
Van Mark going to the nth degree to try and get the maximum power out, as indeed is Steve Cummings at the moment. Time he's chasing 6:04 of Adriano Malore. He's into that finishing straight with that difficult wind to contend with. And beautiful style from Steve Cummings, as befits a trackman. Now with the MTN Quebec, and much travelled at this stage. It's been a good career. He switches across to the left-hand side of the road there. Was that to miss a pothole?
I think there's a few little raised bits of tarmac there, yeah.
And Steve Cummings, he's looking pretty fit, isn't he? He looks quite cut there.
I was just thinking that. I think that aero helmet, the rather unusual aero helmet shape, I think accentuates the rather drawn, gaunt look that Cummings has, but he does look very fit. Remember that win he's already had, putting away none other than Alejandro Valverde. But a solid ride here by Steve Cummings.
Look at this from Steve Cummings as he breaks the tape. 6 minutes and 10 seconds, sixth fastest time, just 6 seconds in arrears, and that is a superb effort from Steve Cummings. Really tests the legs there and wasn't found wanting, as the British rider with the African squad comes up with what is potentially a good result for them and for him. Meanwhile, back out on the course, we have got former winner of this race, the winner of Tour de France last year, Vincenzo Nibali, who will be relishing, I think, the opportunity to test his legs against Alberto Contador and Nairo Quintana. But the question is, well, of course, it'd be a bit of a disappointment, of course, that he didn't have the opportunity to really go toe-to-toe with Chris Froome all week. And you wonder where their form is at and how much of a goal this race is for these riders. Some riders take it very seriously indeed. Other riders see it as just a preparation. I think that Nibali, having won this race twice in the past, will certainly, he'll know exactly where he's at, you know, from the get-go in this race, won't he?
Exactly. I mean, this was, you know, in years gone by, it's always been a prestigious race, but it has grown in prestige over the last few years, especially just when you look at the roster of winners, you know, twice by Nibali, look at Cadel Evans last year, Alberto Contador, and we've got, you know, a field, and I say this with respect, far superior than we see at Paris-Nice, where Paris-Nice previously was the race that riders used to go to. But they're flocking to this race now, and as it was in the past, essentially a preparation race and good miles over similar terrain for Milan-San Remo. But this race now stands alone, and it's important to get on the Palmares, but also psychologically for the GC contenders, it's good to get one up on your main rivals for the tours that are later in the year, because it gives you an indication of where you are, but it also gives you an indication of where you are against your rivals, and it's a little bit of one-upmanship, but psychologically very, very important.
I wonder how much of a dent in the confidence it will have been for Alberto Contador to concede all that time on that second mountain stage of Vuelta a Andalucía, and with it the overall by just the narrowest of margins. He'd been so imperious the day before, and Chris Froome apparently downtrodden and downbeat, but what a response from Froome. And well, will that have sown a few seeds of doubt for Contador? In fairness to him, he was all smiles on the podium and said, well, it'll have been a great battle, so he didn't seem too perturbed. Yeah,
I think Contador, as you see Nibali on the finishing straight here, he's playing a very, very long game. He knew when he went into Vuelta a Andalucía before the start, he said he was going to try and win, but knew he was around 1.5 to 2 kilograms over the weight that he was previously. And remember, he wants to hit peak form for the Giro, then rest up and do the Tour. And after the Vuelta a Catalunya, Contador has 40 days of no racing, and then we'll hit the Giro. So his focus is completely different. So being beaten by Froome, he won't be good, but, you know, he won a battle, Froome won a battle, but you know, Froome won the war at Andalucía. But this looks like a pretty solid time here by Nibali.
Certainly is. He's inside the last few hundred metres. He's not going to trouble not going to be on the podium as winner of the stage, that's for certain, but still it's a good effort from Vincenzo Nibali, and just 15 seconds behind, 11 seconds, 18th fastest time from Vincenzo Nibali. It's a great effort from the former winner of this race, and I think he's going to be pretty satisfied with that. We'll only know for sure when he sees some of the other GC guys coming up very, very shortly, but Vincenzo Nibali has certainly got his Tirreno-Adriatico underway with a little thrust of the bike for the line, a little sprint sprinter's finish there to indicate that every single second matters for these guys. And I think that's a pretty solid little marker that he's laid down there.
I think Nibley will be happy with that. Only 11 seconds behind Mallory, but here's Sepp van Mark coming down the finishing straight. His cadence alters now because of that headwind. I think a pretty good time here, a really solid time. It's not going to beat the time of Mallory, but a very good time by a very, very strong rider.
He's a big guy, isn't he, Sepp van Mark, as he blazes his way towards the line. Old style megaphone on the bonnet of that car, so they're not relying on radios. They're just going to roar him to the line. And Sepp van Mark is, well, he's quite a bit off by his standards, but still inside, well, just outside the top 30. 13 seconds back. Sepp van Mark, the Belgian rider, completes his 5.4 kilometres of pain and suffering.
I think that just shows how good a ride it is. When you just look at the effort, how well Sepp van Mark was riding there, how powerfully built he is, and you look at the slight figure of Vincenzo Nibali, but Nibali still managed to put 2 seconds into a rider of the calibre of Van Mark, who's in form, looking forward to the Classics. So I think that's a very, very good ride there by Vincenzo Nibali.
Well, really, and a good point well made. Greg Van Avermaet, a man who's seen a fair bit of Sepp van Mark in the last few weeks, and another man who's in flying form, capable of a good ride here.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, Greg, not a noticed TT specialist, but riding in very good form, and he's going to be hunting stage wins in this particular race. I think, no doubt, it would have been an absolutely vitally integral part of the TT, the proposed TT that never was, of course, but I think he'll be looking for a stage win and to try and hone his form from Lance San Remo in the Classics later on. This is young Sam Bennett.
Yeah, Sam Bennett has a win already this year. Superb victory in Tour of Qatar, and he gets to the line. We don't get a time, well, do we? 6:24. Good effort from Sam, and I think he is going to be one that Mark Cavendish et al. Will be looking at with interest through this week. Great opportunity for him in the sprints as we look at Rigoberto Urán, the Colombia national time trial champion, a man who's really upped his game as a tester in the last couple of years. Now with Ethics Quick-Step, he's their GC rider this week. Mark Cavendish for the sprints, and Rigoberto Urán for the overall will be the way that they'll play it. And Urán looks good on the bike, looks confident, looks like he's going well at the moment. What's he going to come up with remains to be seen.
Yeah, Rigoberto Urán, as I said earlier on, has been out riding the roads of Tuscany, or northern Italy, and has already pre-ridden. I think he was riding with Brambilla, his teammate, riding that long time trial. So it's going to be at the back end of the Giro, 53 kilometres in length. But off the first time he's ever won the Colombian National TT Championships, and the first time, obviously, that he's ever worn that jersey. So riding it very proudly and looking to do something overall in this race, definitely.
Greg Van Avermaet powering his way towards the line. He's got to get through the final kilometre in something a little bit under a minute, but I can tell you it's going to be touch or go. Having said that, the wind probably not as favourable as he would like it, but Van Avermaet is surely going to be inside the top 20. Will it be the top 10? Will it be even better than that? We'll get an idea in the next 10 or 15 seconds as Greg Van Avermaet of Belgium and the BMC squad manages to drag those bones out of the saddle and push to the line, despite the fact that his body and his mind are saying please don't do it. And look at this, it's going to be oh so close. Van Avermaet just misses out as he slips back into second position, but it's a superb effort from Greg Van Avermaet, a man in flying form and who flies to second on the timesheets, just 2 seconds back.
Can you imagine if Greg Van Avermaet could convert, and maybe he will in the future, all those second places to first places? But a stellar ride. Second in Strade Bianche only a few days ago, of course. But look at the effort there, thundering across the line. Great ride by Van Avermaet.
Mallory it is that heads the provisional standings from by 2 seconds from Van Avermaet and Bodnar. As we get a look now, first sight we've seen of Fabian Cancellara, the reigning individual time trial champion of Switzerland. But would you believe he hasn't won any other time trial of any sort since time trial in the Vuelta of 2013? The man that was at one stage in his career pretty much unbeatable in time trials. Well, he changed his focus towards the classics, less towards the time trial, and as a result he's lost it. Well, his unbeatable status has certainly slipped, but Cancellara is still a formidable threat over a short test of this nature, and you can be sure that Adriano Mallory's attention will be all on this man at the moment to see what Fabian Cancellara can come up with.
Yeah, quite an amazing time trialist. 4 times the world time trial champion, of course. and we'll be looking to try and win here without a shadow of a doubt. Already taken a road win this year, but yeah, that is amazing when you look at that statistic. I mean, Fabian Cancellara, apart from being one of the kings of the classics, as we see Quintana here out on the road.
Nairo Quintana.
I don't think that is Quintana. I think that's still Iran. Yeah. That's the Colombian jersey we're getting mixed up with there.
But Quintana should be out on course. He started 2 places in front of Fabian Cancellara, so we will get a sight of him very shortly. Rigoberto Urán it is, though, that we focus on as he makes his way to the line. And this is also a very, very impressive effort. A man who's really improved as a tester in the last couple of years. And Rigoberto Urán stops the clocks just 10 seconds back. And I tell you what, that's a very good effort indeed. And we knew Vincenzo Nibali's was a good finish, but the good indeed start, middle and finish. And Rigoberto Urán has matched that and beaten it.
He certainly has. He's taken a second out of his Italian rival, so a great ride here. Throws his low-profile bike across the line. He'll be pretty happy with that.
Well, that's put him in the position of maximum opportunity going into the GC stages at the weekend. Alberto Contador relaxed enough to find a way for his fans, for he does have fans in Italy, despite the fact that he's chasing down Adriano Malori, the man who's currently at the top of the timesheets, and of course Vincenzo Nibali. Oh, a little bit of a false start it looked like from Alberto Contador. Gets away at the second attempt and into his prologue effort.
Yeah, that was a bit of a nervous wobble, but he'll be over that now and quickly into his stride on this very, very flat, fast course. What will Alberto Contador do? Pretty quickly into that style, just adjusting himself, a flick of the knee there to make sure everything's lined up, and away he goes. There's that wobble again. That's what I mean.
Well, there could be half a second lost in that.
It was technically you don't push the rider when you're on the start ramp, you just let them go, and maybe Alberto expected a bit of a push. In the end, I think the helper did give him a bit of a nudge to avoid him falling over.
The helper was once upon a time described as the pusher. I mean,
yes.
So many time trials,
of course.
Average little club 10, you might get a little nudge just to get you going. But yeah, the rule says it's up to you to gain momentum. As now we finally get a sight of Nairo Quintana making his way to the finish line. He's not going to win this stage, and I tell you what, I think he's going to leak just a little bit of time to Rigoberto Urán and to Vincenzo Nibali. Still, it's a good effort from Nairo Quintana, but he's got a little bit of work to do yet before he's completed this prologue effort as the miniature Colombian winner of Giro d'Italia 12 months ago finally pressed the tape. Well, 6 minutes and 25 seconds is 21 seconds back, so what's that, about 11 seconds back from Rigoberto Urán?
His countryman, yeah.
His fellow countryman now with just a narrow advantage. It might be meaningless, it might be very meaningful. We'll get a better idea later in the week, but Rigoberto Urán ahead of his fellow countryman and rival on the early GC sheet. Fabian Cancellara out on course. His sole focus is to try and take stage honours. Alberto Contador thinking more about the long game, the long game in terms of the season, as you've mentioned earlier, Matt, and of course the longer game in terms of Tirreno-Adriatico this week. Cancellara now inside the final kilometre, dodging around those little bumps.
This is going to be a little bit close. I think there's a guy, I mean, we've had Quintana finish. The rider in between is Porcev, and we haven't seen him finish. So Fabian Cancellara on a very, very fast time here. Whether it will be enough to overhaul the leader, Adriano Malori, will remain to be seen. But I think, Declan, it's going to be very, very close.
Very close indeed. Inside a minute, I think he needed to do the final kilometre. He's inside 500 metres now, and he's got about a half a minute left. Can he do 500 metres in half a minute from a standing start? Look at that, out of the saddle ever so briefly, and he's still over 300 metres to go. Fabian Cancellara doesn't even sprint for wins and road stages out of the saddle, so you can tell what an effort he's making. Cancellara piling on the pressure, racing to the line in the prologue of Tirreno-Adriatico. Will he be able to unseat the local hero Adriano Malori, or will it be another second place in a time trial this year? Will it even be second place? I think he might just make it, or will he? Fabian Cancellara, no, he just misses out by 1 second, the narrowest of margins. Frustration for Cancellara, delight for Adriano Malori and his supporters, but Cancellara has just missed out on this occasion. A wonderful effort from the Swiss great, but just not quite good enough by a factor of a second. 1 second between Adriano Malori and Fabian Cancellara. Greg van Avermaet now slips back into third. Bodnar and Brendle round at the top 5, but what about that effort from Cancellara? Trying to roll back the years a little bit as a tester, and just missing out on this occasion. So it's Malori, odds-on favourite now to take time trial honours, unless Alberto Contador, who has been testing well this year, can come up with something a little bit extraordinary on a flat course.
It would be extraordinary. We know Contador is in good form. He's the defending champion. He's got it all to play for. He's certainly focused on trying to win this race, but he knows it's going to be hard. The parcours of Tirreno this year, although tough, aren't perhaps as challenging as last year. Not so many hilltop finishes. In fact, only one mountain top finish. So a little bit more difficult for him. And this isn't the sort of course you'd think that Alberto Contador will be able to beat Malori on. So I think it's all about trying to keep as close as he can to his rivals. And at the moment, heading off his rivals is Rigoberto Urán with a 6:14, Nibali with a 6:15, and Nairo Quintana with a 6:25.
So 6:14 is the real benchmark time for Alberto Contador. That's the one that he'll be looking at in terms of not giving away any time ahead of those mountain assaults to come later in the week. Speaking of which, the big mountains come on Saturday. That's the really exciting stage that summits at Terminillo after 194 kilometres. The final 16 kilometres goes uphill. Ramps of 12%, averages out at 7%. That's one for the real climbers. And we have medium mountain stage on stage 2 and stage 3. Stage 1 tomorrow, Camaiore to Cassina. That's 153 kilometres of sprint fair. That's the expected outcome. An opportunity for Mark Cavendish, Sam Bennett et al. Meanwhile, back with Alberto Contador. He's inside the final minute, one would presume, of his effort in this prologue. And Contador out of the saddle, desperately trying to get as much as he possibly can. And that is Contador's form, isn't it? In time trials, on mountains. He's out of the saddle, he's back in. He's out of the saddle, he's back in.
He's one of those riders. As I said, I spoke to him a few weeks back. At some of his climbing training involves spending 20 minutes out of the saddle. So, and this finishing straight, he's on the biggest gear he's got, probably about 54, 55, 11 perhaps, and he's been constantly out of the saddle. Don't think he's going to beat the time of Malori. Only a few hundred metres to go now, Declan, but look at the effort from Contador.
He's not going to get to Malori, but I tell you what, it's going to be a very good effort indeed from Alberto Contador. Is he going to manage to beat the time of Rigoberto Urán and Vincenzo Nibali? The time 6:14 to try and do that. I'm not sure he is going to manage that. Could be a little bit of a trade in terms of time to his rivals here from Alberto Contador as he slips down the order, and not quite the time that he might have hoped for the former champion of all three Grand Tours. Alberto Contador, 6 minutes and 23 seconds, 19 seconds back. Make the calculation, 9 seconds given away to Rigoberto Urán, 8 seconds deficit to Vincenzo Nibali heading into tomorrow's first road stage. Solid effort, he won't be too concerned about that, but well, not what he'd hoped for.
No, but I think he would have thought he'd have been a little bit closer. Nairo Quintana actually only beat Nairo Quintana by 2 seconds, and last year Nairo Quintana beat Alberto Contador on the final stage of Tirreno. There's confirmation of today's result.
So Adriano Malori is the first leader of Tirreno-Adriatico 2015. Just a narrow margin, just a second between himself and Fabian Cancellara. Great effort too from Greg van Avermaet of BMC, just 2 seconds back. 3 riders within a couple of seconds of the win. Greg van Avermaet, as I said, Mathieu Bodnar and Matthias Brendle. Daniel Oss rounds out the top 5, having been at the top of the standings for so long. So that is the opening GC of the week in Tirreno-Adriatico. As I said a little earlier, we've 153 kilometres to look forward to tomorrow. There's the overall standings confirmed. Malori by 1 second from Fabian Cancellara, Van Avermaet, Bodnar, Brendle, Daniel Oss, Navardauskis. We didn't get a chance to see him out there, but a great effort from him to go 7th. Steve Cummings in the top 10 for MTN Quebec. Super performance from him. Peter Sagan showing good time trial form in 9th, and Johan